Jamaican Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness has strongly rejected some findings of the Integrity Commission's investigation report submitted to Parliament on September 5, 2024. The report investigated Holness's statutory declarations for 2021, examining over 3,600 transactions, 28 bank accounts, and collecting some 80 witness statements. Now, Prime Minister Holness welcomed the report's conclusion that there was insufficient evidence to support claims of intentional omission of bank accounts from his declarations. However, he rejected the finding of unexplained growth in net worth of some 1.9 million Jamaican dollars in 2022, citing errors in the Commission's calculations. The Integrity Commission's report investigated the Prime Minister, his 2021 statutory declarations. As I said, he is rejecting some findings relating to unexplained growth. He has emphasized his compliance with the law and his company's up-to-date tax filings, and he's calling for a revision of the governing laws relating to the Integrity Commission as they stand. This morning, helping us to dissect this matter, which is a big developing story here in Jamaica, is Mr. Peter Townsend, my regular guest, and he's the president of the National Democratic Movement. Good morning, Peter. How are you doing today?
Good morning, Mr. Burgess. I suppose I'm good. I'm sure the Prime Minister wouldn't have had a good night's sleep last night.
You saw his presentation in Parliament yesterday. Looking on, Peter, it appeared at some points like he was near to tears. That's how I saw it. Did you see it that way?
Yes, I believe that the Prime Minister is definitely shaken by this report. Coming out of last week, where we had some drippings from the Integrity Commission report, which reported 4 accounts which were what should I say? It were more or less nothing burgled, and then to be hit with this one, which, although the Integrity Commission has concluded that they have not found sufficient evidence on which to charge the Prime Minister for any breach or to accuse him of illicit enrichment. Notwithstanding that, it has still left a dark cloud hanging over his head that he cannot be comfortable with. So when they look at his filings, and they look at 3 companies that are owned by the Prime Minister, and the movement of funds between the accounts, intra-bank transfers, there is a whole question of unexplained growth. There's a whole question of the assets owned being disproportionate to his income as a politician. And then the whole matter of, although the director of the director of corruption prosecution at the Integrity Commission has said that there is not sufficient evidence to charge him. But they have also now opened up some new cans of worms by referring the files to the Financial Investigation Division, the FID, and also to the Tax Administration of Jamaica, because of the nil returns being filed by the companies, by at least, 12 the companies. 12 the companies are in Jamaica and one is in St. Lucia. So I would suppose that it would be the Jamaican companies, where they had filed their tax returns with nil returns. But then based on the income being displayed from the movement of money between these accounts, then that seemed to run in conflict with the tax returns. And so I'm sure the Well, I wouldn't want to preempt, but there may be questions to be asked by the tax administration of Jamaica of the Prime Minister. And so that cloud which will hang over him will be an uncomfortable one, and until his name is cleared. So there's an ongoing investigation. They have brought in experts, including a foreign expert at investigating these financial matters.
Yes. And
after 2 years, almost 3 years, even that investigator has found nothing. Despite all of that, it is still a very uncomfortable situation because his reputation now hangs in the balance. Even if there is no fire, because of smoke, people wonder that there must be fire in that smoke. And so until that is cleared up,
he might be having
some comfortable position.
Yes.
Going into an election year.
Right. So the big issue obviously is public perception, and I'm wondering how do you think that the public will be viewing the Prime Minister himself, and will it impact his administration in a broader sense?
Well, definitely, because perception is a very, very critical part of public relations, a part of politics, a part of life, and so if the Prime Minister, who is the political head of state of the country, and who there has to be trust and confidence reposed in him, and he's going to be leading his party into a crucial general election, facing a PNP which is enjoying strong support from what we have seen in recent opinion polls, then this cloud that is hanging over his head, it is very, very critical that this be cleared up. So I'm not saying it cannot be cleared up, but until it is cleared up, and until that perception is going to stick for a long while, and it is going to be problematic for him in this election campaign. That has started early. I mean, the election is not constitutionally due until
next year,
September of 2025. But clearly, the PNP has had a soft launch, if you could call it a soft launch. I may just say not a soft launch, a launch of the campaign already. And so this is a very, very critical point in time in the life of the Prime Minister and his political career.
Would you say that, or what would you say are the legal options that he has in terms of challenging this report's findings? And would you recommend that he goes that route?
Well, the Prime Minister said that he is seeking legal advice on this matter. So I would want to preempt that because I'm not sure of all the details of that are being investigated. But I believe they have to prepare themselves to defend the whole matter of the tax returns. The being referred to the FID is an interesting situation because there's a potential conflict there because the FID reports to the Ministry of Finance and the Minister of Finance because it's investigating financial crimes, and the Minister of Finance reports to the Prime Minister because it's a part of the Prime Minister's cabinet. So that's going to be an interesting dynamic there. But that being said, I believe the Prime Minister has every right to get experts, legal experts who specialize in these areas of the law and financial matters, and to clear his name. I mean, everybody has an entitlement, But as I said, until he does that, it's not a good perception. It's not a good look at all. His image has taken quite a hit there, and so he needs to move post haste with his legal team to get this matter cleared up. But they have been dealt a blow by the length of time that it has taken the Integrity Commission to come to this conclusion, and then now it is right. This reveal has now come right on the eve of what seems to be a general election loss.
Speaking in your capacity as president of a political party, the National Democratic Movement, Peter Townsend, what are your thoughts on the proposed? Well, in fact, the Prime Minister is intimating reform of the Integrity Commission. How can the law governing the Integrity Commission be revised to prevent politicization and so on? Give me your views from your party's perspective.
I am not sure if it is that the Integrity Commission needs to be reviewed or revised. Not because a report may not suit a particular politician at any point in time. The Integrity Commission, and that is why, as I said in my interview with you last week, it is imperative that the Integrity Commission operates with a high degree of integrity and efficiency, so that it does not come across as being political. So that its credibility is very, very important. And as long as it maintains its credibility, then our politicians should not cherry pick the issues that they take with it when the report does not suit them. So I'm not sure if the Prime Minister and many of his supporters feel that the Integrity Commission has not acted in a fair manner in how they have treated him. And fine, there are instances that one can point to say it would seem so, but structures are important and they must be non-partisan, and whatever their findings are, let the chips fall.
Really,
from the NDM perspective, just merely having these statutory bodies to do these, to be watchdogs, I believe that we need to go a little further. We need to have the structure of government being so set up to foster transparency and accountability within itself. So we have imported the Westminster version, which is has a lot of overlaps, which results in, even as I said before, that the FID, which comes under the Ministry of Finance and now ends up being reported to the Cabinet by the Prime Minister, potential conflict of interest is going to arise along the way. If we had a structure of government where we have these overlaps under Westminster, which relies on strong conventions and the reasonableness of persons to conduct themselves in a non-corrupt manner. But if we have strict separation of powers where there are real checks and balances, where the executive arm is separate from the legislature and the judiciary, I believe that we would solve a lot of the problems, and good people who want to go into politics to serve their country wouldn't have to fear the risk of their image and their integrity being tarnished, because they would not be subjected to a system which makes them vulnerable and expose them to these possibilities. When if the system was structured that it's unlikely that people can enrich themselves from the public purse, then we have avoided all of that. So yes. I believe that we need to reform the Constitution to have strict separation of powers, where the executive arm is totally separate. In other words, the Prime Minister and his cabinet should be separate from the Parliament, and so that MPs don't become ministers, and vice versa. So I believe it's a systemic problem. Although if people are out to enrich themselves at the public purse, we'll have to work harder to do it, because the system would not be having this gray area where people run the risk of appearing to run afoul of it when probably they didn't.
Yes.
And so the system which they have hugged up and they have continued to practice has now come to haunt them.
All right. Let me get one more question in, as time is of the essence. And I want to turn my attention now to international reaction, and to ask you whether or not this report might impact Jamaica's international relationships and reputation. Will it go as far as that, based on what you're seeing?
I don't believe so. You see, transparency and accountability is very important, and the fact that we're having this conversation. The fact that we do have a body, even though, like I said, I have my concerns about that body, we do have a body that investigates corruption or potential corruption. And the fact that even the Prime Minister is subjected to it, I believe it says to the world that at least we are putting things in place to fight corruption or perception of corruption. And the truth of the matter is that although the perception hangs over his head, the investigation is still ongoing. It's not completed. He has not been charged. They have made it clear that they don't have enough evidence on which to charge him for anything in terms of illicit enrichment or corruption. And to me, the main thing that is left is the tax implications based on the filings of his two companies, and also whatever the FID investigation will turn up. But, you know, although I don't want to say that I have any doubt in any concern about the FID, if they got an international investigator who was taking 2 years to probe, and they came up with nothing to say that the money in these holding companies were garnered from the public purse. You know, that has not been completed. But like I say, the perception, there are people in the international community who will no doubt be thinking, you know, negatively, because after all, Jamaica has for many years ranked high on the corruption index. And so, yes, it will certainly cause concern until this matter is cleared.
It's cleared. And do you think it is an important enough matter that could even influence people's voting and even the results of the upcoming general elections? It's
definitely.
Yes.
You know, if there's a cloud hanging over you that there could be something untoward about how you have gained your asset. If your income is disproportionate, your assets are disproportionate to your earnings, and there is, you know, there are ongoing investigation about you. If those investigations are not cleared up reasonably long before the elections, I believe that it is going to definitely affect the Prime Minister's chances of being re-elected.
Mr. Townsend, I want to thank you so much as always for coming on and giving us your perspectives on these very important matters. And I wish you a wonderful day today. Looking forward to talking to you again sometime soon. Take care.